Catherine, everyone's staying home due to the ice storm. Christmas dinner is cancelled. Stay safe, my mum's text read. I stared at my phone in disappointment, but understood. After all, Nashville winters can be dangerous. What I didn't know then was that this simple text would unravel years of family deception and change my life forever. My name is Catherine, and I'm 32. I'm an accountant, and until last Christmas, I thought I was just the different one in my family, the quiet, career-focused sister who didn't quite fit in with their loud social gatherings. My younger sister, Anna, was always the star, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. That Christmas morning, I settled in for a quiet day alone. I made myself hot chocolate, turned on some holiday movies, and tried to stay positive despite the loneliness. Around 3 p.m, I was scrolling through Instagram when my heart stopped. There it was. A fresh post from my cousin. A perfect family Christmas at Anna's. So blessed to have everyone together. Family traditions, Christmas dinner. The photo showed my entire family. Mum, dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, even my grandmother, gathered around Anna's elegant dining table. They were all smiling, wearing festive sweaters, clearly enjoying the celebration. They had deliberately excluded me. Through the windows in their photos, I could see clear, sunny skies. There was no ice storm. There never had been. My hands shook as I scrolled through more photos. There was my dad carving the turkey, my mum arranging her signature Christmas cookies, my little nieces and nephews opening presents. The ice storm excuse was a complete fabrication, a convenient lie to avoid telling me I wasn't welcome at their perfect family gathering. I felt sick to my stomach as the truth sank in. All those times they'd told me events were cancelled, all those intimate gatherings I hadn't been invited to. How many of them had actually happened without me? How long had they been coordinating behind my back to exclude me while pretending to care? The next morning, my phone rang. It was my mother, acting as if nothing had happened. "Hi, honey. Hope you had a nice quiet Christmas. We missed you." The casual cruelty of her words made my hands clench into fists. This was the moment everything would change, though I didn't know it yet. Growing up in our family home, I always tried to be the good daughter. I helped my mum with chores, maintained straight A's in school, and even gave up my dream of attending art school to pursue accounting, because my parents insisted it was more practical. Meanwhile, my sister Anna could do whatever she wanted. When she dropped out of college to become a yoga instructor, my parents called her brave. When I worked overtime to help them pay off their mortgage, they barely acknowledged it. I remember one particular incident that should have opened my eyes sooner. 3 years ago, when my dad needed surgery, I took 3 weeks off work to help care for him. I cooked, cleaned, drove him to appointments, and managed his medications. Anna showed up once, stayed for an hour taking selfies with him for social media, then left claiming she had a yoga retreat. Yet somehow, in my parents' retelling of that time, Anna was the supportive daughter while I was just doing the bare minimum. My extended family wasn't much better. At every gathering, my aunts would praise Anna's free spirit while asking me when I was going to loosen up and learn to enjoy life. My accomplishments at work were dismissed as boring, while Anna's latest adventure teaching yoga in Bali was the talk of every family dinner. I kept telling myself it didn't matter, that family was family, and they loved me in their own way. Even last month, I spent hours helping my mum prepare for Thanksgiving, only to hear her tell everyone that Anna had done all the work while I just sat around. I swallowed my heart and kept quiet, just like always. When Anna announced she'd be hosting Christmas this year, I offered to help with the planning and cooking. She brushed me off, saying she wanted it to be perfect. I should have seen the signs then, but I was still trying so hard to believe in the fiction of our happy family. The truth is, I've spent my entire life trying to earn their approval, making excuses for their behaviour and pretending not to notice when they excluded me from spontaneous family gatherings that everyone else somehow knew about. I convinced myself that if I just tried harder, worked longer, gave more, they would finally see me as worthy of being part of their perfect family picture. "Hi, honey. Hope you had a nice quiet Christmas. We missed you." My mother's fake cheerfulness made my stomach turn. I gripped my phone tighter, staring at the Instagram photos still open on my laptop. Evidence of their perfect family gathering that I'd been deliberately excluded from. Really, I managed to keep my voice steady because Nina's social media posts showed everyone had a wonderful time at Anna's house. Everyone except me. The silence on the other end was deafening. I could almost see my mother's face. That familiar expression when she's been caught in a lie but is already formulating excuses. "Oh, well," she stammered. "Anna organized it last minute, and you know how you can be at gatherings, always so quiet and making everyone uncomfortable. We just thought—" "Thought what?" I pressed. "That it would be better to lie to me? To make me spend Christmas alone while pretending everyone else was doing the same?" "Don't be so dramatic," my mother sighed. "We were trying to avoid any awkwardness. You know how Anna wanted everything to be perfect." That's when it hit me. All the past cancelled events, the time plans had mysteriously fallen through, the family photos I'd see later on social media. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a pattern. "How many times?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "How many other gatherings have you lied to me about?" Another telling silence. "Catherine, you're being oversensitive." "This is exactly— Why?" I cut her off. "Why do you exclude me? Why do you pretend I don't exist unless you need something? Why does Anna get to be the perfect daughter while I'm treated like an inconvenience?" "That's not fair," my mother protested. "We love you both equally. It's just Anna puts in the effort to be part of the family. You're always so busy with work." I laughed bitterly. "Busy with work? You mean busy helping pay your mortgage? Busy taking care of Dad after his surgery? That kind of busy?" "Listen," my mother's voice turned stern. "If you're going to be like this, maybe it's better if we give each other some space. Call me when you're ready to be reasonable." The line went dead. I sat there staring at my phone as 32 years of memories suddenly shifted into sharp, painful focus. Every excuse, every dismissal, every misunderstanding, it had all been intentional. I wasn't the problem. I never had been. That was the moment I stopped making excuses for them, the moment I finally saw the truth. I didn't have a family. I had people who shared my DNA but treated me like an afterthought. After that phone call, something inside me snapped. I was done being the family doormat. I opened my laptop and started writing an email to my entire family. Parents, sister, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone who had been at that Christmas dinner. My fingers flew across the keyboard as years of pent-up feelings poured out. "I've seen the photos from Christmas dinner," I wrote. "The dinner I was told was cancelled due to an imaginary ice storm. I want you all to know exactly what you've done. You didn't just exclude me from a family gathering. You coordinated an elaborate lie to make me spend Christmas alone." I attached screenshots of my mom's text messages saying, "Stay home, everyone's doing the same," alongside the social media photos showing their celebration. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The responses started flooding in almost immediately. My Aunt Marie claimed they forgot to tell me the plans had changed. Uncle Robert suggested I was overreacting. My cousin, Nah, whose post had exposed their lie, quickly deleted all the Christmas photos and sent me a message saying I was causing unnecessary drama. Then came Anna's response. A long, condescending email about how I never make an effort at family events and how she just wanted one perfect holiday. She even had the audacity to suggest that excluding me was for my own good because I obviously don't enjoy family gatherings. But it was my parents' reaction that truly showed me who they were. Instead of apologizing, they went on the offensive. My mother started calling mutual family friends, spinning a story about how I was having some sort of breakdown. My father sent me a stern email about respecting family privacy and how airing our dirty laundry was unacceptable. "You've really done it now," Anna texted me. "Mom's crying, everyone's upset, and it's all because you couldn't just accept that maybe you're the problem. This is exactly why we didn't want you at Christmas." I felt like I was living in an alternate reality. They had deliberately excluded and lied to me, Yet somehow I was the villain for exposing their behavior. The more I stood up for myself, the more they twisted the narrative. When I refused to back down and apologize, they escalated. My mother started showing up at my workplace unannounced, causing scenes in the lobby. Anna began posting vague social media updates about toxic people and choosing peace over family. My father threatened to cut me out of his will if I didn't get in line. Instead of intimidating me, their actions only confirmed what I had finally realized. This wasn't a loving family protecting itself from a difficult member. This was a toxic system desperately trying to maintain control over someone who had finally stopped playing by their rules. I decided then that I needed to do more than just expose their lies. I needed to completely break free from their manipulation. Little did they know, I was already forming a plan that would show them exactly what happens when you push away the one person who had always been there for them. A week after my confrontational email, I received an unexpected message from Rachel, an old family friend who had retired from managing my parents' finances years ago. "Catherine, I've been seeing what's happening with your family on social media. There's something you need to know. Can we meet?" I agreed to meet her at a quiet cafe downtown. When I arrived, Rachel looked nervous, clutching a manila envelope. "I've been carrying the guilt of this for years," she said, sliding the envelope across the table. "Your father swore me to secrecy, but after seeing how they're treating you now, I can't stay quiet anymore." Inside the envelope were bank statements and legal documents dating back 15 years. As I read through them, my hands began to shake. According to these records, my grandfather had left a significant inheritance specifically for my education and future. Nearly $300,000. Money I had never known about. "Your father was the trustee," Rachel explained quietly. "He was supposed to give you access when you turned 25. Instead, he transferred everything to Anna's accounts, using it to fund her lifestyle and her failed business ventures." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. All those years I'd worked overtime to pay for my accounting degree, the student loans I was still paying off, the times I'd helped them with their mortgage, they had been sitting on my inheritance the whole time, spending it on Anna. "There's more," Rachel continued. "Your grandfather also left properties that were meant to be split equally between you and Anna. Your parents sold them all using your power of attorney they had you sign when you were 18. Remember when they said it was for emergency medical decisions?" I felt sick. The document I trustingly signed had given them complete control over my financial interests. They had systematically robbed me of my inheritance while watching me struggle, accepting my help with their expenses and making me feel guilty for not contributing enough to the family. Even worse, the statements showed regular transfers to Anna labelled as business investments. Money taken from my inheritance to fund her yoga studios, her retreats in Bali, all those adventures they'd praised her for while criticising my boring accounting career. "Why tell me now?" I asked Rachel, my voice barely steady. "Because I saw your mother's social media posts painting you as unstable and ungrateful. They're trying to discredit you before you can discover the truth. They've been embezzling from you for years, Catherine. What they've done isn't just morally wrong, it's illegal." Everything suddenly made horrible sense. Their escalating attempts to paint me as unreasonable, the threats to cut me out of the will when they'd already stolen my inheritance, their desperate need to maintain the narrative that Anna was the successful sister while I was the difficult one. I carefully packed the documents back into the envelope, my mind racing. "Thank you, Rachel. I know exactly what I need to do now." This wasn't just about a ruined Christmas anymore. This was about years of calculated deception and theft. And I, an accountant with years of experience tracking financial fraud, was uniquely qualified to make them face the consequences. With Rachel's documents in hand, I spent the next week meticulously building my case. As an accountant, I knew exactly how to trace the money trail. Every unauthorized transfer, every misused power of attorney, every fraudulent document. I tracked it all. I also hired Sarah Chen, a lawyer specializing in estate fraud, to review everything. "This is a clear case of financial exploitation," Sarah confirmed. "We can file criminal charges if you want to pursue that route." I considered my options carefully. A criminal case would destroy my family's reputation, but they had already destroyed our relationship. Still, I decided to give them one last chance to make things right. I emailed my parents and Anna, requesting a family meeting to resolve our differences. They jumped at the chance, probably thinking they could manipulate me back into line. We agreed to meet at my apartment the following Saturday. The morning of the meeting, I arranged 3 folders on my dining table, one for each of them. Inside each folder was a complete record of their fraud, along with a letter from my lawyer outlining their options. Either transfer all remaining funds back to me and sign a confession, or face criminal charges. They arrived looking smug, clearly expecting me to apologise. My mother started in immediately. "Catherine, we're so glad you've come to your senses." I cut her off by sliding the folders across the table. "Before anyone says another word, I suggest you read these." The colour drained from my father's face as he scanned the documents. Anna's hands started shaking. My mother tried to maintain control. "This is ridiculous. You're trying to blackmail your own family." "Blackmail?" I laughed coldly. "No, I'm giving you a choice. Return my inheritance with interest and admit what you did, or I'll let the police handle it. Rachel's already agreed to testify." "Rachel had no right," my father started. "You had no right," I interrupted. "You stole from me for years while watching me struggle. You used my power of attorney to sell property that was rightfully mine. You funded Anna's lifestyle with my inheritance." Anna burst into tears. "I didn't know. They told me the money was from their savings." "Don't lie," I replied calmly. "The transfers went directly to your accounts. You knew exactly what you were doing." My mother tried a different approach. "Think about what this will do to the family. What will people say? You should have thought about that before stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from your own daughter," I responded. "You have 48 hours to decide. Either sign the confession and arrange the transfers, or I'm going to the police." They left in a panic, my father practically dragging my hysterical mother and sister out the door. Within hours, the family group chat exploded with messages from relatives, all taking their side, of course, but I remained calm. I had truth and evidence on my side. "The ball's in their court now," I told Sarah over the phone that evening, "but something tells me they're not going to make the right choice." I was ready for whatever came next. After all, they had already given me the greatest gift: freedom from their manipulation. The 48-hour deadline came and went. Just as I expected, my family chose pride over honesty. They didn't sign the confession or arrange any transfers. Instead, they tried to destroy evidence, closing accounts, shredding documents, and even attempting to pressure Rachel into retracting her statement. What they didn't know was that I had already submitted everything to the authorities. The morning after the deadline passed, I formally filed charges. By afternoon, the police were at their doors with search warrants. I watched from my office as the story unfolded. My father was escorted from his workplace in handcuffs. Anna's yoga studio was seized as an asset purchased with stolen funds. My mother's carefully curated social media facade crumbled as she was arrested during one of her charity committee meetings. The family group chat exploded again, but this time with a different tone. Relatives who had dismissed my claims were suddenly quiet as the evidence became public record. The local newspaper ran a story about the prominent family's fall from grace. All their years of maintaining perfect appearances ended in a single day. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. "You did the right thing. Your grandfather would be proud." She was right. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. As I watched my family's carefully constructed lies unravel, I felt no joy, only relief. The truth was finally out, and I was finally free. 1 year later, I sat in my new home in Denver, watching snow fall outside my window. The court case had concluded months ago. My father and mother both took plea deals, agreeing to pay restitution. Anna's yoga empire had crumbled, and she'd finally gotten a real job as a receptionist. The perfect family image they'd worked so hard to maintain was gone forever. Most of the relatives who had enabled their behavior for years stopped speaking to me, but surprisingly, I found I didn't miss them. Instead, I had built a new support system. Genuine friends who valued honesty over appearances, colleagues who respected my work ethic, and even a few distant cousins who reached out to apologize for their past behavior. Rachel came to visit me last week. Over coffee, she handed me an old photo album she'd found while cleaning out her office. Inside were pictures of my grandfather and me, moments I'd almost forgotten. In one photo, he was teaching me to fish, both of us laughing at something long forgotten. He always said, "You were the strong one," Rachel told me. He knew they favored Anna, but he believed you would overcome it. I touched the photo gently, remembering his kind smile. He had tried to protect my future through that inheritance, and though it had taken years, his final gift had ultimately given me something more valuable than money: the courage to stand up for myself and the freedom to build a life on my own terms. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting free.